Hey everyone, it's Mallo, your host of IDENTECO After Dark and the creative director here for IDENTECO. Before we get started, I just wanted to let you know that this episode is brought to you in part by Gamers Heaven and their newest location just north of Seattle, Washington. There, in a family-friendly and welcoming environment, you can play tabletop or video games, read manga, or just relax with friends and sample some amazing drinks from their boba tea bar. If you want to learn more, log on to gamersheavenseattle.com to see hours and location. Now let's get on with the show. Hello, Fringers. The following podcast may not be suitable for all ages. Listener discretion is advised. Oh, hello, everyone. Welcome to tonight's episode of IDENTECO After Dark, a live stream and podcast where we talk about video games, TV, music, movies, and more. And tonight, it's going to be a fun one. I am joined by my co-conspirator, as I always am, Alex the Humanoid. Alex, welcome.
What's going on, everybody? I've missed you all.
Yes, we've had a couple of weeks off for things, but we're also joined tonight by Michael, one of our intrepid people involved with Chaos Incorporated. Hello, sir.
Evening, y'all.
Evening, y'all.
Happy to be here. Happy to chat about the subjects at hand.
Yes. I just want to just quickly give a couple shout outs right here too. We've got 2 1-year anniversaries in the chat. One for our both of our intrepid mods tonight, Tip and Grandpa Joe, who you may remember from this show and from Angel City Stories. So
Yep.
Thank you. And if you're out there watching and you want to subscribe, Prime Gaming, as they call it now, gives you 1 free subscription. So, you know, if you want to drop that in right there, that goes to help us make more of this stuff, and keep the lights on and keep it going so we can keep making content for you guys out there. So,
Indeed.
before we get into it, IDENTECO After Dark is taking its name from a TTRPG that Alex and I have written called IDENTECO, that you can also see played on Michael's show.
Yep.
That way. There we go. On Michael's show, Chaos Incorporated, every other Monday. Once we come back in the new year, we're done with recording for that for this year. But in the new year,
that show's based on a role playing game. I thought we were just
winging it. We're just winging it. Yeah.
We're just there.
But if you want to learn more about that, go to playidenteco.com. We've got everything up there, including some freebies to get you started, merchandise, and more. Makes great stocking stuffers, you know. Wink, nudge.
Also,
keep
your eyes open. Mallow told me about a new idea he's got for some merch.
I do, and considering that we have a fancy little space that we can try to sell it in real life too,
Yes.
you know, it might be kind of fun. You know, we like making some merch centered around IDENTECO. So,
I'm gonna answer Tip's question. I have, as it is Christmas time, some lactose free eggnog and brandy.
yes,
Right here. So right there, Tip.
I did not make my
it's
I did not
Christmas
make my
time.
cocoa. I was bad. I didn't make my cocoa. So I'm
just
I got water. Yeah. Yeah, water bottle bros. Let's go. Hydrate. Hydration's
In the words-
important.
In the words of Stranger Things, it's still a liquid.
It counts.
So it counts.
It counts. Oh goodness. So tonight, we are talking Hawkeye series finale, as well as Spider-Man No Way Home. So beware of spoilers, because we're gonna talk openly. We talked a little bit about Hawkeye the last time.
Are we going straight into spoiler warnings?
Yeah, well, I just want to give a blanket spoiler warning, because last time we started talking and we didn't say spoiler warning.
Oh,
and
did people get upset with us?
Well, not huge, because we didn't give away huge spoilers, but I just know from a podcast back in the day where I actually put the spoiler in the title, and somebody really did get upset with that. So, you know, I just probably not do that this time. Just give you like a good few seconds to be like, okay, wait, hold on, I haven't watched it yet.
Yeah.
Yes.
I am the type of person that will do my best to 100% avoid spoilers. Like I watch teaser trailers. That's where I draw the line. I don't watch anything after the teasers.
So here, and actually this rolls us right into Spider-Man. The spoilers for Spider-Man were out in 20 seconds flat.
Yeah, that's what I heard.
Technically, they were out like 9 to 12 months ago.
Yeah. But what I'm saying is like I started seeing video clips within 12 hours. Now,
yeah, man, I'm lucky. I must be lucky because like my social feeds, like I didn't see anything. Either that's like the people that I follow are really cool about it, or I just am lucky enough that I didn't catch them. But like I was looking. I mean, I was paying attention to try and like avoid stuff, and I actually didn't have to.
Mallo knows me. Like, I'm not a big person where spoilers don't worry me. I'm like, when it comes to films and stuff, I'm like, how are you going to get there? That's really the thing that gets me. So I wasn't too terribly upset about the spoilers. And as Mallo said, I think most of them, all but one, I think everybody has pretty much expected for the last year.
If you pay attention. This is the other thing too, is I spend a lot of my time watching and theorizing and having fun with this kind of stuff. So for me, I'm super connected to all of the behind the scenes rumors and speculation. And, you know, I follow Vulture and Hollywood Reporter and all those kind of things. Like I spend a lot of time because it's my job. I'm in the industry. So, you know, I like it. The normal person going into it who's not a lunatic like myself, there's probably some spoilers for you.
I knew enough going in that yesterday, like, because things were so slow, while I was working, I threw on the original Sony Spider-Man movies, like the first trilogy,
three.
And then the first trilogy, and then also the two Garfield movies. I put
you
those
got
on.
through all of them.
I got through all of them. Like I kind of like put them on. I let them in the background. Like, you know, I've seen them all. So, I mean, it's not like it was new material, but I thought I haven't seen them in a while. I want to be, just in case, I want to like have that refresher. Because I knew Garfield. That was clear. I knew he was going to be there. Even though they'd have been denying it and there'd have been all the rumors and stuff. I'm like, I know he's going to be in the movie. I wasn't. Yeah, I see the chat here with our friend with Tip there, with Ti. Yeah. Mm-hmm. I am not going to say any more until I know if Ti is going to be sticking around or not.
Yeah.
Because I was able to go into this one relatively spoiler free, other than like the real obvious stuff that you could catch from the teaser trailer.
Yeah.
You know. The teaser told me enough to know that I needed to go back and watch those other ones just to be fresh.
Yeah.
I wanted to be fresh.
Well, let's start here. What was your general rating of the movie, Michael?
My rating of the movie?
Yeah.
I'm an unapologetic Marvel fanboy. There have only been maybe one or two of the Marvel movies that I haven't like really enjoyed.
Three.
I would say like Thor 2 for me is a kind of a letdown. Yep. My funny story about Thor 2 is, to this day, I have not made it through an entire viewing without falling asleep.
That's funny.
I've had to watch that.
That's
every
hilarious.
time I've seen that movie, I have had to watch it in parts. I've never been able to make it through the entire movie. I always fall out like 20 minutes in. And again, like I feel like I mentioned this to Mallo earlier. I was like, you know, even the lesser Marvel movies like do typically something to build the story, to like kind of build even the B storylines. They give you something, right? They give you something to, but there just wasn't enough meat in Thor to keep me hooked through the whole thing. So, which is why I knock out. Like, you know, I just do. Like, Thor goes out, like they put Thor 2 on, and literally like 10 minutes after they like find the weird portals into the portal with the storage containers and stuff in the junkyard, like about 10 minutes after that, I'm out. Like I've fallen asleep.
Michael officially remembers way more about Thor 2 than I did.
I love Branagh as a director, but that is kind of the low point. I'm with you on Thor: The Dark World and things like that. So
you asked for my rating. I'll give you my rating. No Way Home is easily top 5 for me. I'm gonna say it's probably top 3 at this point.
Okay. So I saw a lot of chat about how this was the best MCU. There was a lot of chatter that this was the best MCU film ever. And I'm not there.
Okay.
I'm not. This is the best MCU film ever.
And that is why you were wrong.
It's not. It's just objectively not the best one.
I feel like this is a moment where if we were like in a wrestling ring and this was a promo, like the curtain would fly back and you know Mallo would be coming out like stomping to his theme song.
And let me be clear. There are two ways that I look at films. I look at them as a technical piece of art, as a writer, and as somebody who studied film in college and wanted to be a filmmaker at one point, as a piece of art, and then I look at them as did I enjoy it, which are two separate things. There are films that I think are great pieces of art that I don't like watching. Right? Mm-hmm. Munich is a great example. Spielberg's one of the best directors of all time. That movie was amazing. I don't ever want to see it again. Because it's just the subject matter and the gravity that they put to it and the way that they made that film. It was really well made. I won't ever watch it again. It's too much. This film was not, in my opinion, the best MCU film they've made from a technical and an artistic standpoint. Nor was it the one that I had the most fun at.
Interesting.
Okay.
Now, and Mallo might have the slider for later. It's probably in my, and keep in mind, there's more than 20 MCU films now.
No, there's
so many. It's in the top half. Like if I did the slider the slider myself, it's in my top half for sure. But it's just not there for me. All right, Mallo, it's your turn.
No, it was fantastically done. It was well done. The predilection on the spell thing and stuff like that was flimsy, but was sticking with the comics. That's fine. That is the suspension of disbelief you have to have when you go into a Marvel movie, is that, yes, this guy can do that. I think it's one of those things where, like, one way, shape, or form, the multiverse was going to come because of all the other people fucking with it. This is kind of just the straw that broke open the egg. You know, like, it was just one of those things that this has just kind of helped accelerate things just that much, little bit more.
Well, we'd gotten the hint in Loki when Kang was talking about the multiverse war.
That wasn't a hint. That was just a straight up, for all of you at home who've never read a comic book in your life, here's how we retcon things. and by the way, I'm the cool guy at the end of it all that says, well, I'm the producer, basically. I'm Kevin Feige insert that says, here's what comes and here's what isn't. And nobody can tell me that Kang the Conqueror is not the Kevin Feige insert anymore, because we all know there's a guy behind the curtain pulling the strings. Who's wears a hat all the time too. He's very weird.
Okay, so chat's going off right now.
Of course it is, because Joe's there.
Well, I was gonna say, yeah, it's not chat so much as it's Joe.
So chat's going off right now. Here's what I and do you mind if we just jump into the meat of it?
Yeah,
I'm fine with it.
All right.
Chat's like, I feel seen.
Okay. So Joe actually has the point. This was, and I'm okay with some suspension of disbelief, okay? But here's where it lost me, is as I was watching the end of the film, I'm going, wait a minute. So everybody forgets, and this is what I didn't understand. Everybody forgets that Peter Parker's Spider-Man. Okay, cool. But Ned was his friend long before he was Spider-Man.
No, everybody, so it's funny. I'm just going to pop in real quick.
Go.
This is exactly the same sticking point that a buddy of mine got. Like I told my buddies, I was like, I just went and saw it. I loved it. I want to see it 2 more times today. Like, I liked it that much. And then I got literally 2 minutes later, I got a DM from my buddy in Discord, and we went back and forth all morning about, like, kind of this part of the movie, which was that, the spell is that everyone is going to forget Peter Parker exists.
Yeah.
That's the spell. The spell that Strange ends up, this initial spell is to make people forget that Peter Parker is Spider-Man. That's the spell that Strange initially goes to cast, that Peter fucks up. The second spell that they come back with that fixes that whole thing is that everyone just forgets Peter Parker, period. So in the minds of the world and the multiverse, Peter Parker is a non-entity. Spider-Man still exists. Everyone knows who Spider-Man is. No one knows who Peter Parker is, period.
Right.
So that's, that was what my buddy and I got into about that, was he was like, well, these people know Spider-Man, but they don't know Peter. I was like, well, yeah. And especially the people that were closest, right? The people that were closest, like their relationship with Spider-Man, even if MJ and Ned remembered having adventures with Spider-Man, they would never remember ever seeing him without his mask off or who he was with the mask off. They might even remember. They might even know that he took the mask off. But I can't picture him. I don't know what he looks like. I can't.
It was the same thing with the other people who knew who Peter was.
Yeah.
So again, this is where it starts to mess with my suspension of disbelief a bit. To answer somebody in chat, it's now legal void. No. Nobody remembers Peter Parker. The apartment thing was not what bothers me, because he didn't erase him from computer systems, right? Peter Parker still has a social security number, and everybody who sees him from that point forward, he has a legal ID, he's in the computer, he's got a social, he's fine. Everybody else is good. But again, the part to me that was like no one's going to question that later, right? Pepper Potts, who knew who Peter was, right? It's not like, oh yeah, I remember this time and we were going to do a news conference, but I don't remember the guy that was there.
Yeah, but that's sort of the thing, is it's more along the lines, and this is a few times it's one of the few times it's like, the way that I can explain it is like this. It's like you go past the bodega like every day and you never notice it. And then all of a sudden, when it's going out of business, you went, oh wait, it's suddenly turning into a CVS now. Like, what the hell? Like, that's more the way that it's explained and understood. Like, they all have seen him now in their minds. He's the creepy dude at the donut shop.
At the donut shop.
And that sort of thing is like, he still has a birth certificate and shit, but like nobody remembers being with him. But any point on from there, he can make his own sort of thing. So like, he got a shitty apartment, for the legal question that we had up in here. He got a shitty apartment because that's all he could afford. Because if we've established in the MCU, no superheroes actually ever paid for anything, and they just get harassed by the cops.
And actually,
that's a very social thing I just said too. Wow.
And I'm glad that they brought that up in Falcon and the Winter Soldier, where Falcon's broke.
Yeah.
Right?
Oh, yeah.
I kind of imagine that Tony was kind of paying for a few things here and there when he was still alive, but all that's gone now. Anyway, the spell thingy was the only thing that really bugged me.
Hold on. I gotta stop you for a second though, because chat's like, Strange would have understood. No, the fuck he wouldn't have. He didn't want to help him in the first time. Strange doesn't like to help anybody. Strange only likes to help himself, drink cocoa, and go do weird shit. Exactly.
Strange 100% did it to basically spite Wong.
At least initially. Now, that last scene was Strange, where Doctor Strange goes, you don't understand, the people that love you, and then he says, we will never remember you, because he puts himself in that conversation along with everybody, and I thought that was a nice touch.
And I think what got you there was the fact that the whole time Strange is basically blowing off everything Peter's saying, like, you're just a kid, you don't know shit. And then the kid traps Strange in his own mirror dimension. And then when Strange comes back, Strange comes back and they're like, yeah, we're halfway done with this. Peter's idea is working. And Strange is like, oh shit. Like,
there was a line he says there where he goes, like he does, because he has that line.
Yeah.
It's not respect. I'm trying to remember what he says exactly, but it's like, oh, well, okay.
Yeah, but I mean, that's why I feel like, you went from I think that's the bridge that they're supposed to give you from Strange being like, okay, Parker's like a minor annoyance. I'll just do this to. He helped out. He's, you know, he did his part to try and save the world. I'll do this to help him out.
Yeah.
Like that's,
Now,
you know, I'll do this favor for him.
And I think Joe's bringing up a good point in chat. If Peter ever does go back to Strange and goes, hey, by the way, we know each other. You cast this spell and says the name of the spell. I think Strange would probably be able to put 2 and 2 together and go, well, I probably did that and I just don't remember because I cast the spell.
And they mentioned that in the movie too. Remember the whole conversation with Wong about, hey, remember the parties we used to have? And he's like, no, exactly. Like,
right. So I think they could, like, Peter could go to Strange if he wanted to, but I think by the end now Peter, and that was what I liked the scene in the donut shop at the end, where Peter was gonna go to MJ and Ned, and then it's like, you know what? Nope.
Yeah,
I'm just gonna go be by myself for a little while and let them live their lives. And so I don't think he would go to Strange or anybody else and tell them that.
By the way, I love that we are debating a fucking magic spell in here like it's goddamn D&D 5th edition. But also we gonna debate this, but the whole timeline bullshit from Avengers Endgame but you go to the past and your new past makes the new future and blah blah. Boy, that shit makes my head hurt.
I like that they don't really like at least time travel in Marvel. Like they address it in Endgame. Like they make a point of making a joke out of it. Like the whole Back to the Future thing. Like they joke about it in Endgame. But I do like that the Marvel movies are not mired in this. This is how this has to work. Because it's more about let's do what works for the story and not necessarily what may be correct for time travel theory.
Right. Yeah. And I'm not going to tell you about the time travel. That's bit them a couple of times and it's biting them now. Or we can talk about that when we get to Hawkeye.
I hate time travel as in literature and story and everything as much as I hate going and doing the celestial thing from Eternals and all that stuff.
You can tell where Marvel's been like, yes, this is canon, and then later in the fact been like, we're really, really annoyed that we did that.
Still not as bad as
anymore.
Still not as bad as Games Workshop though. So,
that's true. but yeah, Marvel does that frequently enough where they're like, this is part of the. Wait.
Yep.
We don't really want this to be part of canon anymore, so we're just going to pretend like it's not.
Chat brings up, which is why Ahsoka is a terrible character. She literally used time travel and still sucked at doing things.
Oh my god, we go back on this. You know what? I'm not getting sucked into a Star Wars discussion with chat. This is Marvel night.
This is Marvel night.
This is and again, like this is the hill that Joe has chosen to die on, and it might not be a great hill, but it's his hill.
It's his hill. Go get your own.
Yeah. We can all die on our own hills separately. Joe chose Ahsoka Tano.
Griping aside, I really did like the film.
Yeah.
My favorite scene is probably the one where right before they go into battle, when Toby and Andrew. By the way, everybody, Toby and Andrew are in the movie, as if anybody was shocked about that.
Yeah, in case the spoiler thing wasn't clear earlier.
Right.
Spoilers.
When they're talking to him, and when they find out that Toby can shoot webs out of his wrists, and neither one of them can, and then later they're standing on the scaffolding and they're like, hang on, I want to come back to this. How do you do that? And he's like, it's like breathing. I just do it. Right? And they're like, have you ever, and they're talking about stuff.
Yeah, Peter 1, Tom Holland is like, yeah, you go ahead and finish. But yeah, I like that.
Does it come out of anywhere else? Yeah. And then they're like, did it ever get blocked? And then they're talking about like, what was the coolest villains you fought? And then, Tom Holland's like, I fought an alien in space. And then Toby stops him. And he's like, wait, I want to stop here. You fought somebody in space? Like,
yeah.
And then Andrew's like, oh man, I'm lame. I fought a Russian guy in a rhinoceros
rhino
suit.
Costume, yeah, in a rhino mech suit.
And Toby's like, no, you're amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, loved that scene.
John, what was your favorite scene?
Their whole back and forth I thought was really good. You know, I legitimately, it was nice for the one time that I will probably do it during this pandemic to be in a movie theater where when Andrew Garfield stepped through and took the cowl off, everybody clapped. You know, all like 15 of us, because we were in a weird movie theater and thankfully there's not a ton of people and things like that. But and then when Toby came through looking like the Mormon youth pastor, I believe is how they called him.
Yeah.
Like the hip youth pastor.
Yeah. Those were good moments. I mean, look, Into the Spider-Verse was a fantastic movie, and they gave us a live action version of that. Neither movie makes a whole ton of sense in the whole time travel multiverse thing, but who fucking cares? It's cool.
Yeah, for sure.
Like, speaking of the Spider-Verse, I love the reference from Jamie Foxx where he's talking to Andrew Garfield after he's lost his powers. He's like, "You do all this stuff? I thought you were black."
Yeah. Here's the thing.
Like, there's got to be a black Spider-Man somewhere. And I was like, yes.
Here is the prediction for Spider-Man 4. Go ahead and get your clips ready. We'll revisit it soon.
Are you ready to take your victory lap yet, by the way?
No, I was completely right about all of it. Love it all, including Hawkeye that we'll get to in just a second. Because I got predictions for that one too. But for Spider-Man 4, Tom Holland, they still don't know if he's going to come back for it or not. I think Marvel's just going to pony up the money. Yeah, they're going to pony up the money. But I think they're going to have to pony up the money for one movie, and he's going to pass.
You think they move on to Miles?
I think they move on to Miles during that trilogy.
They have already established that Miles exists in the MCU.
Thank you, Donald Glover. We appreciate your service. And so, yeah, I think during that trilogy is when they bring Miles Morales in, and Miles becomes the new Avenger later on because he can hook up with Kate Bishop. Which
brings us to our Hawkeye stuff.
Well, hold on. No, I haven't gotten to do. I didn't. Do
do yours. I'm just saying, like, it all connects.
No, it's okay. So
yarn wall, Caleb. Yarn wall.
You're right. I had a couple of favorite scenes, but the one that I like really stuck out to me most is when they all get together. Or sorry, when they're bringing everybody in and they're in the wizard's dungeon, and like that entire conversation where they're trying to explain like where they are, where the various villains are to them, and like the fact like the magic exists and they're all like dumbfounded that magic exists. They're like, oh god, magic exists? It's a thing, really? Like it's a really thing? And Jamie Foxx's Electro makes a joke about like characters dressing like they're in Dungeons and Dragons, and they make lots of references to the wizards and stuff. But like that scene when they're just trying to explain kind of how things are working, and the banter when they all go to Happy's apartment, like that entire scene at Happy's apartment, like just made me like happy because I was like, this is like it. For one, it's so much scene chewing going on by so many like of these great villains that they've had in past movies. Getting to be together on screen, getting to watch, Alfred Molina interact with Willem Dafoe, actually play as these characters in this world instead of separate entities in separate movies. I want to say one thing real quick about No Way Home in general. This is maybe the first movie to me that broke the multiple villains mold.
Yes.
Because this movie managed to have almost the entire Sinister Six, which was as a fanboy for me, as like a Spider-Man fan and as a Marvel fan, like to see all these elements finally come together in one movie successfully, not like piecemeal, not like Spider-Man 3, not like so many of the Batman movies where they had more than one villain, but to bring these all together in one movie really well. And not short shrift anybody. Like nobody got short shrift. Nobody got less real screen time or camera time or plot time because they didn't have to explain a bunch of stuff about everybody. They're just like, here's all the bad guys. And guess what? They're all working together as you would expect them to do once they get released.
So that whole not explaining things, this is the thing that I think Marvel has done the best with Spider-Man.
Oh, yeah.
They brought Spider-Man already in as Spider-Man. We did not have to watch Spider-Man's origin story again. We didn't have to watch Uncle Ben get shot again. We didn't see him get bit by a spider. He just came in and they were like, And Marvel, in their minds, I'm sure went, look, everybody knows Spider-Man's origin, so we don't need to do DC and show Bruce Wayne's parents get shot again, because everybody knows the damn story. So we're just going to bring Spider-Man in and do the thing, and it will be fine. And everybody will get it. And they did. And I thought that was a better way of handling this whole thing.
Yeah.
For sure.
I agree with you 1,000% on the villain point, because I felt the same way, where I walked out and I was like, wow, all of the villains felt like they had their moments. If anybody got a little short-shirted, it was maybe Sandman. But he still had a good story.
But I think that's too because Sandman already kind of had a redemption arc in his movie. Like in Spider-Man 3, Sandman already kind of got redeemed a little bit by the end of it. So like when they bring him back in, there's not as much to work with there because everyone else, and even Doc Ock got a redemption arc in his Spider-Man 2.
Swinging back to your dungeon comment, I love the part where they laugh at him when they're like, what's your name? And he's like, Daughter Otto Octavius. And they're like, really? What?
No, what's your real name? What's your real villain?
Come on, dude.
Yeah. That was, I think, one of my favorite scenes. There were so many, and I want to ping one thing before we get done, before we move on.
We got time.
And that's okay. Did anybody else catch the lovely capper on the Star Wars joke?
What, Palpatine in them?
No, the capper in this movie, the long form joke, the long con, is that in Homecoming they build the Death Star, it gets destroyed.
Oh yeah.
In No Way Home, the Death Star gets destroyed. So in films 1 and 3, the Death Star gets destroyed.
Yeah, but I was also bringing it back because what was the toy he put on his desk at the end? It was Palpatine, which is a long-running joke that Palpatine survived somehow, blah, 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 which is the dumbest thing they ever did in Star Wars. But still, I like it.
I loved that. It was actually funny because I caught it in the theater at the time. I was like, it's a Return of the Jedi, Star Wars and Return of the Jedi reference.
Yep.
And I love it that it was in movies 1 and 3. And then I was speaking with our friend Kaylee after the fact, and Kaylee was like, did you catch that? Did you know that was a thing? I was like, I didn't know, but I caught it, and I'm proud of myself for catching it. So
Absolutely. And that it's Dummy that kills it, too.
And Dummy. Yeah. Again, there were so many beats in this movie that were like just pitch perfect for me that, I would see it 2 more times right now in a row just because I liked it so much.
I'm gonna watch it soon again.
I just want to like touch a nod to the action scenes in this because we talked about William Dafoe. That fight in the hallway scene was one of the most brutal ones ever pictured on MCU. And was just the way that it was done, shot, pulled through, all of that, just fantastic.
That was actually a point that Kaylee made in our conversation after this too. Is she said that when they got to the end and you have the fight on the remnants of the statue's shield, right? The Tom Holland really pulled out all the stops in that, like that emoting that rage, that sheer like I'm gonna kill you, and like you get to, for the first time you really see this Spider-Man like unload, like he's hitting Goblin harder than he's hit anybody in these movies. He's really just beaten the bejesus out of him,
and that brings us to when Toby stops him. And without even saying a word, he gives him that whole, like, you do not want to do this. This is not the human you want to be. And Toby, I thought, did a really good job. Both that scene and then the one where he's talking to Otto, where he takes his mask off, and I was like, dear boy, you're all grown up. Right? And he's like, what are you doing? He's like, just trying to do better, which is a throwback to when he first meets Octavius. He says that exact line, and just
talented but lazy.
That thing where he's like, I'm just trying to do better. I'm like the way Toby did all that, like you got that like wizened old Spider-Man.
Well, that was
really well.
That was something that Kaylee mentioned too. She said to me that She said, she felt like Toby was a little wooden. I said, okay, well, having just rewatched the original Spider-Man, the first Raimi trilogy, I was like, and then you watch, the Garfield, and then you watch the Holland. Out of the 3 Spider-Men, that was Toby's Spider-Man. Toby's Spider-Man was not the overly emotional, wisecracking, sarcastic one that we end up getting with the other 2 gentlemen. He was very much the socially awkward nerd. Like, he was that Peter Parker, the classic old school Peter Parker that was not the easy talking, fast talking, quick witted, quippy guy. And I like that still came through in this. Like, when in this movie, when Toby is chatting in their group, like, you get the feeling that Toby is still kind of like that Peter Parker, regardless of how well his life has gone since, is still that kind of like, I'm just going to stand back and let you guys talk, and maybe I'll say something once in a while.
thought it was,
for the most part, I'm good.
I thought it was interesting though, because if you catch up on it, it ain't going so hot. He wasn't wearing his wedding ring, and he even mentioned that it was complicated with MJ in the movie.
Oh, I didn't even think about that.
We have Spider-Girl,
wedding ring thing.
Yeah, he wasn't wearing his wedding ring, and he said it was complicated with him and MJ, which
maybe it's during that like breakup time that they have in the comic books where him and MJ kind of like split for a while.
Yeah, but we do have the chance of their daughter, who ends up playing Spider-Gwen, not Spider-Gwen.
No,
what's her name? I keep wanting to call it Spider-Child, but that's not right.
No, Silk is somebody else.
Yeah, but basically, it's a younger female Spider-Woman. Essentially,
it's May Parker, right?
Yeah, it would be May Parker. Yeah, by the thing.
That's it.
And I liked also that when you get Garfield's kind of like catch up, you literally get like he does the whole like, I went off the deep end. Like I think he killed
Hobgoblin.
For sure. Like
I think he killed Hobgoblin after the end of Amazing Spider-Man 2 and regrets it.
Yeah, I think that's the Garfield you get when he comes in. Like, his costume is darker than everybody else's. Like his presence is a little bit darker. Like, I like that they give you the Spider-Man that's already gone down this road, and it doesn't end well. Like, it's not good.
Also,
that was one last thing. The nod at the end, right before the credits roll, which we didn't even talk about the end credit scenes, but right before the credits roll, and you get Peter like hopping out in his new costume, which is straight up the comic book. The comic book costume, and it looks fucking glorious.
Which, by the way,
so good.
For our PlayStation players, they're bringing that costume to the Insomniac game Spider-Man, I think next week. But speaking of, I want to go back to Garfield for a second, because that scene where he rescues Peter's MJ.
Oh, yes.
Okay?
Oh.
Like when he was like, "Are you okay?" and she's like, "Yeah." She's like, "Are you okay?" And he's like, you can tell he's like that's his like
right on the verge.
I don't want to say redemption because I don't think that's the right word, but he's like the like. This time I did it. This time I didn't fuck it up, right? And I thought it was such a powerful look. Like, and I don't know if you've all seen Andrew Garfield in Heartbreak Ridge, when he plays the army medic who was a conscientious objector, and this is a true story. He plays an army medic during the Korean War who refuses to carry a weapon. Right? Amazing role. He's actually a really amazing actor if you watch some of his other stuff. That emoting on his face was just perfect.
I'd like to just kind of take it a step farther on top of that, though, as you were talking about redemption arc. I feel like this movie was redemption for Andrew Garfield, period. Because he got shit on for his movies. And I don't really think that it was... It's not really his fault, because I think he like literally like gives his all for Spider-Man. He's such a huge fan, but the costumes were dumb. The writing was dumb.
They did have Dennis Leary, which I loved.
Yeah, no. There were some good parts of those 2 movies, but I just think he got really let down by Sony being Sony, right?
It was the writing.
It was the right. Well, it's me critiquing the writing of a thing. Imagine that.
I'm with you. It was the writing. They, and again, like Michael brought up earlier, Sony got into the too many villain trap.
Yeah.
Amazing Spider-Man 2 with Garfield's second movie, where they had Hobgoblin, they had Electro, they had another one, and they had Rhino.
Yeah.
Like, it was just too much in one film.
Yep.
For sure. And that's, I think having, again, just rewatched all those, like, I have more respect for Toby. Having watched those again, I watched them thinking, wow, these are way campier than I remember them being. But I also remembered this is Sam Raimi, and again, remembering that it's Sam Raimi, I see all of his cinematography and all of his like trick shots and all the things that he loves to do in his movies.
Yeah,
like they're all like right there in your face in those. So I kind of gave that a pass, and then I watched the Garfield ones again, and I was like, again, like you said, Garfield got short shrift because I thought his Peter was very well done. I think the Peter Gwen Stacy relationship was well done in those movies, and I think everything else around them was. And Sally Field was a great Aunt May.
Yeah,
but she's a good Aunt May.
Well, and then President Bartlett dies.
Martin Sheen. we got Martin Sheen for like 5 minutes.
Yep.
Yeah, we got
okay.
Martin Sheen for about 5 minutes, and
Uncle Ben died again.
Yeah, Uncle Ben died again, and that was my buddy I was talking to this morning said, I want to see a prequel. I'd love to see a prequel with Holland. I'm like, unless it's going to do something crazy to change the origin, I don't want it.
So
I would go see it.
They're actually doing it. They announced it on on.
It's going to be a cartoon though.
It's going to be a cartoon, but it is canon, and it's going to be. I think they're calling it freshman year.
Freshman year of high school, yeah.
And so it's literally him getting his powers, and the goofy suit he's got when Tony finds him. That's what he's going to be wearing, and so
it'll be a short run series. Yeah, it'll be fine. I think it'll be fine.
And I get it from like a kid, like especially from a kid's perspective too, right? Because I mean, like it'll be a good, it'll be an easy way to introduce the origin story to kids who are already familiar with the Tom Holland character from the MCU movies, but not necessarily Spider-Man, the whole story. But yeah. But I was just saying to him, I was like, I would go see it because I mean, of course I would go see it. But is it not? And it's something I need. I do not need it. I don't need to see another origin story.
Swinging back to Sean's comments about the multiverse, and this is my question for you two. Would you watch a third Amazing Spider-Man with Andrew Garfield after he's returned from this adventure?
That's what this movie actually made me want. Is I want to see. I would love to see more of both of those Spider-Men in their respective universes, like kind of like how they're like their lives, like. And again, I don't necessarily know that I need to see a movie about it or whatever, but like I feel like it would be interesting ground to tread.
John?
I think having never really watched the Andrew years because of how like bad the writing was and stuff like that, I would like to see him get it, but with Feige and others overseeing the whole operation.
Amy Pascal.
Well, Amy from that perspective, and then Kevin from the continuity perspective and stuff, because I just think that when they get the right team on it, like Andrew will perform his butt off, and I think it'll be fine. And I think they can still bring in Scorpion, would be a good one for him. That'd be Vulture. A great villain. Well, Vulture's been done, right, with Tom Holland. It's like let's bring in a villain we haven't seen yet.
Oh God.
I mean,
you can do a new version of Kingpin. You can do all kinds of stuff.
You could, yeah. But I think from a continuity perspective, I think you'd want to introduce other characters into it. But I think you could do it really, really well. Even if they had Thomas Hayden Church back for certain things, right? Like, I don't know. There could be some interesting things. It got canceled in 2018, if I remember correctly. They were working on it, and then it got canceled.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Well, it's the same thing that happened with like Spider-Verse, right? You see Spider-Verse, that movie ends, and you're immediately like, I want more from all of these characters.
Fortunately, we are getting more Spider-Verse.
Well, yeah, but I mean, that's kind of how I felt at the end of this. Like, you talk about this being like the live action version of Spider-Verse, but that's how I felt. Like, I feel like those characters got good closure in this movie, but I also want to see more of them. Like,
yeah,
I just, as a viewer and as someone who really enjoys like these Marvel pieces, like that would be something I'd love to watch, like a short, like a limited series, like a 6 episode like run on Disney Plus that was about the Garfield Spider-Man.
The thing that I will say about this particular one, yes to the Disney Plus thing, because I will again ride hard for these Disney Plus shows that are doing so well in telling a very concise, easy to grok story, because they're taking micro moments and they're just getting the right level of detail in things.
I challenge anybody to tell me what series Disney Plus has screwed up.
What's the Star Wars anime one? That was
like an artistic thing, but I'm saying like really messed up.
Oh yeah,
they have it.
Vision, yeah.
The thing that I like about this particular one though is because of the reset that I know everybody was yelling about in chat and stuff like that. They did a perfect reset to give us the friendly neighborhood Spider-Man, the comics accurate one where he can go screw off with Daredevil and do the things in New York.
We didn't even talk about that yet.
He's a very good lawyer, Alex. He's a very good lawyer.
By the way,
you're gonna need a very good lawyer.
That thing, that was the only thing that had I not been spoiled would have surprised me, because I did not believe they were bringing Charlie Cox in for this.
Well, that one wasn't true. That one wasn't. Oh well, I guess that got spoiled for you afterwards. But for going into it day of, for me, it was not.
I was like, oh, you got Charlie Cox back. Thank God.
Yeah.
Because he was an amazing Daredevil, and that scene was hilarious, and also him catching the brick.
The look on everybody's face. Just the look at the table of everybody like,
I'm a very good lawyer.
I love the fact that like they had announced that they were bringing Charlie Cox back as a Daredevil for a future MCU series. We all were like, well, yeah, but I mean, we all knew that like, okay, Echo is coming because it's got announced, and that has a whole Daredevil backstory and stuff. But then he just like nonchalantly just strolls on screen and all, and I'm like, yes, let's go.
Oh yeah, because the 15 people in my theater were all like, woo, like again. That was one of those woo moments. There was more than a handful of them in this movie, but
but this is what bugs me with Marvel. I'm gonna bring it back to earlier in the conversation. Them retroactively and weirdly. So when the Daredevil series first came out, it was canon to the MCU. They said it. There's references to the Avengers movie, to the Battle of New York in Daredevil. And then they were like, and then Kevin Feige came out like a year and a half later and was like, nah, that's not canon. And now they're like, never mind.
Yeah.
Daredevil's in the MCU.
They're doing the same thing with Star Wars Legends and Disney. I mean, it
drives me absolutely nuts with Marvel.
Yeah, but we don't know how much of that though is still is actually canon or not. Like Kevin Feige never said that it's not all of it's not canon, except for Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. apparently.
Which is weird because Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. was specifically designed to be canon to the MCU.
Tell me about it.
The first season leads into Captain America Winter Soldier, and then it leads into Age of Ultron.
Right. So I don't know. It's one of those interesting things where he hasn't said one way or the other, but I think we're going to see more of that where they're going to bring in, which brings me to the possibility of Luke fucking Cage. Let's go.
Love
but
that
not you, Iron Fist. Sorry, buddy.
Yeah. You can stay.
You can stay.
In fact,
he can come in Cage and Shang-Chi.
What? No, I'm saying we can bring Iron Fist in for a couple of minutes so Shang-Chi can whoop his ass. And team up with Luke Cage.
Yeah.
Also, post credits, I liked how they brought Venom in.
Yeah.
How they backdoored themselves into Venom in the MCU
and getting them a symbiote. They're like,
I loved it. Piece. I loved it. That was wonderful.
It was the best
Tom
troll
Hardy
moment.
Got to have a lot of fun with that little post credit scene.
Because he was hammered. He was like, we're drunk.
Lethal Protector was a shit name.
I just the thing for me is the fact that they went full on Paul Bettany with the Marvel and everything is that, oh wait, you're gonna get Tom Hardy's, you know, Venom in the MC. Nope, just kidding. He got blipped right back. Like, I love that part because it was like months of speculation between the Venom. Yeah. I mean, yeah, we'll get one. It probably won't be Tom Hardy playing it, but I think we might actually get one that's maybe a little bit more serious down the line, which would be interesting.
Mm-hmm.
We could get a whole symbiote trilogy, really, if we wanted to.
That's kind of what I'm hoping. I would love to. I'm torn about seeing them play out the symbiote relationship again on screen with another Spider-Man because of how badly it was done in Spider-Man 3.
Sorry, Toby.
I think they've learned from that. I think they've learned from that.
Yeah. But yeah, then of course the other post-credit scene, which was actually basically just a trailer.
It was the trailer.
Yeah,
they released it
trailer.
today.
Yeah.
They released it literally today. It came online. They put it on YouTube finally. They were like, "Here's the Spider-Man or Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness trailer."
But I gotta say, I wasn't mad. I was like, all right, great. Like, cool.
Yeah.
I was in for it.
I liked the line from Wanda where she's like, "I made mistakes. People got hurt." He's like, "I'm not here about Westview. I don't really care." Which goes back to Sean's comment about Doctor Strange doesn't care.
Doctor Strange does not care. We also get the first America Chavez sighting for this movie as well.
Did I miss that?
Yes, apparently so.
There was a.
She's in there.
I believe she was in the trailer twice.
Yes, she was.
There's 2 shots of both. I think both shots were basically of the back of the jacket.
No, well, one is front facing, and I thought I might have seen Monica Rambeau in there somewhere too, but I could be wrong.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it was a very brief blip, but I thought I saw Monica Rambeau in there, but that could be coming later on that.
I also am glad we're getting Chiwetel Ejiofor back.
Yes.
I thought, first off, I love him as an actor.
Was awesome.
Yeah.
And him as Baron Mordo is one of my favorites. I love him in pretty much everything he's done.
I need Baron Mordo, and I need Baron Nemo.
Wait, is it Modo or Mordo?
Mordo, right?
Mordo.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And then Baron Nemo from Captain. I need those 2 Barons together.
Oh, you need you mean Baron Zemo.
Zemo. Shit.
There we go.
It's been a long day. Zemo.
Yeah.
I need the 2 of them, especially just because I love both of those actors and they play their parts so well. I need the 2 of them to team up. But thoughts on getting the what if versions of Doctor Strange?
Everyone's like, it's not going to be a thing. And again, this goes back to that stupid kid thing. Like, but if you watched What If at the end, you were like, oh, I see what you're doing.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, I think it's
okay.
I think it's one of the classic Marvel curveballs that he's not the big bad, like himself is not the big bad. And we've gotten a lot of different theories and thoughts that are going on with it, but the fact that they're going to have both of them on screen and playing up that whole multiverse angle and stuff like that with it, I think is going to be good.
And actually, with Strange screwing up the multiverse with this spell, it makes much more sense. Like in that trailer at the end of Spider-Man, where Mordo's like, because you remember at the end of Doctor Strange, the original, Mordo's like, I figured it out. The sorcerers are the problem, right? And so now that Strange has gone this far and almost broke the multiverse, the fact that Mordo's now coming back going, you are the biggest problem we have. You are the danger, dude.
I also loved the fact that this movie revealed who the Sorcerer Supreme is, which also makes Wong's appearance in Shang-Chi so much better.
Yeah, but I think that's more of I think it's gonna be Strange still, but I think it's from a technicality sort of perspective. But just love their absolutely.
I love that Wong is basically like, well, yeah, but you were gone, and
the Sorcerer Supreme is pit fighting in the middle of fucking.
Yeah. Like it's therapy. It's like pit fighting therapy for Abomination, right?
Yeah.
There you go. All right.
So at the end of Spider-Man, this will be our segue. At the end of Spider-Man, he swings through Rockefeller Center in the wintertime. At Christmas time, which is where the finale of Hawkeye took it today.
So we haven't been here since episode 4 on Hawkeye.
Yes.
So episode 5, obviously our big reveal was D'Onofrio is back. Okay, in the role he was born to play.
Yes.
100%.
Okay, which is Kingpin, which he played to such a great level in Daredevil, and now he's back, and we're all very happy about it.
In Daredevil and Punisher.
Yes, and Punisher.
Punisher was also Wilson Fisk.
Yep. Take it away, guys. Like I'm blown away by the whole series, but I want you all to start.
I'm gonna let Sean start. Let Mallo go, because I know, like you said, there's a victory lap coming, and I think we just need to get it out of the way.
He called a lot
from downtown. Called it. I think the only thing that we didn't get was the Daredevil connection in episode 6, but I didn't put that as a full on.
I missed that.
I didn't put that as a full on prescription. We didn't get that because when he showed up in.
Was there in episode 6?
What's that?
What Daredevil thing was there in episode 6?
There wasn't. I'm saying that's the only thing we didn't get out of that episode. We got everything else we needed out of that episode. Mm-hmm. But that's okay because we're gonna slow play it into the Echo series. But just seeing that one image at the end with Wilson Fisk at the end of episode 5, perfect way to bring it back in.
Well, and episode 5 also brings us, I believe it brought us Yelena, correct?
Yep.
And also absolutely love that they brought the actress back, because she was one of the best parts of the Black Widow movie, bar none.
And she was in the post-credit scene for Falcon and the Winter Soldier at the end of the series.
Yes.
She was?
Yes, she was.
Mm-hmm. Because crazy Lady Hydra lady who recruited, what's his name?
Sam. Or not Sam.
Secret agent guy. U.S. agent. The guy who will become U.S. agent. Also comes to her. No, sorry. It's the end credit seasons for Loki. It's one of them. And she's like, hey, you want to find the guy that killed your sister?
No, that's the post-credit scene for Black Widow.
Black Widow, yeah. And she's like, and she shows her the picture of Clint.
Yeah.
And you're like, wait a minute, what? So it all makes sense.
Yeah, I love that. And I actually I love that actress. Love her portrayal of Yelena. Mm-hmm. Just the relationship between Kate and Yelena in episode 5, like they're back and forth. And, like I could watch that. I could watch 2 more episodes of just that. Like
it was
them going
better in episode 6.
It was.
I love the sequence in the elevator, and then when they get to the end of the fight scene where you see them fight across multiple rooms. When she's sitting there, she's like, ow, that hurt. And she's like, the kick to the ribs hurt too. And they're like,
it was really good form.
And you did that body throw, and they're like complimenting each other about how they just beat the crap out of each other. Like, I was like, that is the next generation. Nat and Clint, and now we go to the new Black Widow and Hawkeye. The conversation that they have in the old burnt out apartment where they're sitting around the table, and Yelena is literally treating it like it is, and she references it like it's girls' night out. Like, like I made macaroni, you don't even want any. It smells delicious. Come on, you should just have. I'm gonna put some spicy sauce on. Are you done? I'm gonna put the spicy stuff on now.
I love that stuff. You know, this is my first time in New York. What should I see? You know, I thought that reveal in 5 and the bringing of that character in, really, I loved the again, kind of the capping that, like giving that resolution. And as you go from 5 into 6, like with that part of the story, with Nat and Clint's relationship and how Yelena kind of comes into that, you know, I love the way that they played that over the last couple episodes.
I like the way that it resolved.
Wilson and Yelena were the two. Well, of course, I guess episode 5 also gives you the real big revelation that it's not the bad guy again isn't the person you think it is. You know, initially it's Mom.
Yeah. Well, I kind of saw. I did call Mom from a mile away too. She's.
But again, this is part of your victory lab.
Yeah.
So you know.
But it's the funny thing about it is that. You know, not only in episode 5 did he just steal his sword back, basically. He just stole the Ronin sword again. But apparently Jack Duquesne is just a fucking idiot. So
And then they did the last ride as Ronin, where he has that fight scene where he takes out all the tracksuit mafia guys, and then confronts Maya, and is like, "This was all a setup."
Yeah.
Right? Like, you don't get it. Your dad got set up by his boss because he wanted him taken out.
Yeah. Why, we don't know, but we may find out more in the Echo series.
Well,
the big question that I have for both of you is, do we really think Kingpin is dead?
No.
No.
Yeah.
No.
No.
No. They're not going to waste... Here's the thing. They're not going to waste D'Onofrio. Kingpin has such a tight connection to Spider-Man,
Yes,
Daredevil, Echo, all these other characters, right? That leaving D'Onofrio on the table would be, especially now that you've brought him back, would be monumentally stupid, and Kevin Feige has shown he is not that.
Yeah. In fairness, in the comics, when Echo shoots him, he only goes blind, which is to mimic, Daredevil and stuff like that. So, mild spoilers if you haven't read the comics, at least the Matt Fraction ones with that.
So, the whole series, and especially episode 6, all felt like Die Hard to me. I think they were doing that intentionally now, where they're like, we're going to give this a very grounded Die Hard, but it's Christmas, which Die Hard's a Christmas movie, so Christmas.
Go ahead, Michael.
Oh, no, I was going to say, I feel like that was, even from the initial trailers, I feel like that was kind of the feel of it. It's like just a regular fucking Joe. Out of all the Marvel heroes, Clint is the regular dude.
Yes.
He is the straight up, he's just really good with a bow and arrow. There's no magic to it. It's just skill and practice and training, and that's it. And they presented it very much like constantly underutilized, under-resourced, underutilized. I've got to get from point A to point Z, which is getting home for Christmas, and I feel like they did a very good job of kind of honoring that kind of homage in the course of the 6 episodes, obviously ending it up here.
Yeah.
The way they're building, they're rebuilding their trick arrow, arsenal at the end there, and it literally looks like they're basically just pulling stuff out of toolboxes. Now, of course, Clint also has, keeps PIM particles. He's got a secret stash of PIM particles, a secret stash of star foreheads.
That was the other thing. So that's my only gripe. I think the series should have started in timeline a week earlier to give them more time, because that montage thing, I'm like, no, how much time?
Yeah.
And also, I could have used 2 more episodes. I think 8 would have been a better number.
Well, with this cast, 10 would have been a fantastic number. But, you could have dove really into the Kingpin stuff, because my biggest gripe is they only brought Kingpin back for basically 2 episodes.
An episode, roughly. Not even 2 episodes, because you only see him in the photo at the end of episode 5. He's in a photo
at the end of the 5th, and then just he gets
it would have been much better if that would have been if it was a 10 episode arc, and the dun 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 on episode 5. Let's just keep it to the name, same thing, right? Because you start to learn even more about the way Kingpin goes, and then all of a sudden, Bishop is just like, yeah, I'm getting out. And oh, by the way, I have all the, I've got backups on backups, and all this kind of stuff. And so it's it would have been really good to see him doing the machinations. Again, you would have to have known what was going on with Daredevil, which appears to be canon at this point, to know that he was getting his ass handed to him at the end of season 3, somehow still got off scot-free, somehow is now dressed like his character in one of the other, I think it's Family Ties series, where he's wearing the white suit with the Hawaiian shirt.
Yeah,
under it, I think is that one.
Under Birds of Paradise and some shit. Yeah, it's weird.
I was under the impression, because when obviously when you see the early shots versus the current shots, he's in the suit in the initial flashback in the beginning, and then of course when you see him again, he's in the Hawaiian shirt. And I thought to myself, is it because it's Christmas? Is it festive? Is it supposed to be festive Kingpin?
He's wearing red. Everybody who's bad wears red apparently in this episode. So. But I just think it's interesting that I would have liked, 8 to 10 would have been good, because you wanted to see a little bit more of the behind the scenes of like how seedy is New York. And maybe they'll get into this in the Echo series as well, as it goes through a lot of these things, because how Kingpin took over after the Battle of New York was central to the Daredevil Netflix series. And started
He used all the
that.
destruction from the Battle of New York to start doing the gentrification and doing the land development from that.
I want to see more of that as we go forward.
Well, and again, the kind of Mom Bishop, like that felt super ham-fisted. That the little, oh well, I'm getting out, and yeah, I have all the information and blah blah blah. Like that felt like, I felt really weak, because from your time in other MCU projects and with Kingpin, and the people in universe would know that you don't get to just walk away from the Kingpin.
I think
no one does.
I do.
You don't.
Yeah, go ahead.
Like,
sorry.
No, sorry. I just feel like that's like watching that scene. I kind of felt like, is this her first rodeo? Like, what does she think? Like, how powerful does she think she is?
Yeah,
I think it is her first rodeo. I think she got involved with him after Kate's father died, and has just kind of been part of this for a while with him, but has only been within this organization. And has only been doing the stuff that she's involved in. So she's not really like, oh wait, she doesn't have the same perspective on him that Hawkeye and his wife do, where he's like, man, when the big guy gets involved, this is gonna get fucking dumb.
Yeah. And I think that's part of her hubris. Because I mean, she almost acted surprised that she got the cops called on her at the end. And she's like, well, this is what you do. You send your mom to jail or whatever. And I'm like, yeah, that's actually what happens. But read a comic book, honey. That happens a lot. So I don't know. I just think it's interesting. The fight scenes in this particular episode too
were better.
They were better, and they felt more personable and personal to each of the characters, which I really liked. And there's obviously the mentor-mentee thing that's going on that finally got, he is officially handed off the mantle of Hawkeye to Kate Bishop, and who knows where we'll see Yelena Belova later. RIP to her being invited to Clint's house, like, duh. Why wouldn't you do that? Like,
I kind of, it's funny,
because she did the I'm a ghost. And wandered off, so I felt
the same thing. I kind of like when they did the reveal, when they pulled up, I assumed that Kate was going to come around the corner and Yelena was going to come around the corner. Like, I thought they would both be kind of there as found family.
Yelena learned the truth from Clint. She did the I'm a ghost, like off into the mist. She's got to go process what she just because she got lied to. She got lied to by the one lady. She thought that Clint killed Natasha. She's now going to come to terms with the fact that Clint didn't kill Natasha. And what Clint does is a good job of basically saying Natasha killed herself without saying Natasha unalived herself. Mm-hmm. Right? And I thought that scene
Natasha made her choice. Natasha made the choice, and that you can't, no one can change your mind.
Right. But she did that. She died because she chose to. Mm-hmm. And so I think Yelena's got to process that. And I respect that. I actually wanted to talk about the last scene because I watched it 3 times. I'm so glad that Clint made it home for Christmas. Like, as a parent, I was like, yeah.
Come on, Disney of all people weren't gonna get him off.
But I appreciate it. I'm like, and when his kids, you felt that in the scene where his kids were like, you kept your promise. You made it home.
Also, Bit Player in chat. Thank you, Bit Player, because that's where I was thinking. I loved that they basically gave you the scoop that, guess what? Clint's wife was a SHIELD agent.
Tony called it.
Tony
said it. Tony said it right when they did. This is an agent. These are smaller agents. Right? Like,
I love
but
that.
where else was Hawkeye going to beat someone to marry?
Yeah, right.
Well, I mean, Hawkeye was doing a lot of shady undercover stuff. Maybe, he could have met somebody,
For SHIELD.
Yeah, but,
The ironic thing is,
you date the people you're around, right?
Yes. Did you notice the number on the watch?
Was it 19?
19. Mockingbird is Agent 19 for SHIELD. So Laura
this
Barton
again,
is Mockingbird.
back to stupid Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. because they brought in, before they decanonized it, they brought in Mockingbird.
Yeah, but let's be honest. I watched enough of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. to be thankful that it's no longer canon because that show was terrible. And it went on for far longer than I thought they were going to let it go on an ABC series. I was very surprised.
Here's the thing. Their version of Ghost Rider was the Robbie Reyes one, and that season with Ghost Rider was fucking amazing.
I never saw it.
I didn't see it because I gave up on it after that part, but the look of the character was right, and maybe they'll bring him into the MCU. Like they can pick up pieces of it, but the overall overly Grey's Anatomy drama of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. was just nah.
When they brought that version of Ghost Rider into Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., the Robbie Reyes version, right?
Yeah.
Especially since they hinted it was the original Ghost Rider who had handed off his powers, as it was in the comics, to Robbie Reyes. Like, I was excited. I loved Robbie Reyes.
Nick Cage gave up his powers.
No, we just don't talk about that. It's like Fan Force Stick. We're just gonna forget that exists.
Oh, okay. What about the post-credit scene in Hawkeye?
It was so good. It was so awful, but it was so wonderful.
It was awful in like a great way. I think as soon as I saw the Happy Holidays from Marvel Studios, I was like, I have a feeling I know what this is going to be.
Yeah.
And sure enough,
I was kind of hoping that they would cut to Tom Holland in the audience being like, just as like a little final little teaser.
Did y'all notice that in Spider-Man? Because in the trailers, they don't show you the billboards with Rogers the Musical.
Yeah.
But when you watch the movie, you see the Rogers the Musical signs.
Yep.
And I also am kind of with Ant-Man, Hawkeye, where he's like, Ant-Man wasn't there.
Right.
I love that. I love that.
Like, what?
That is a nod, though, that Ant-Man was supposed to be in the first Avengers film. But because the movie hadn't come out yet, Edgar Wright's version of it hadn't come out by the time Joss Whedon had to do it. They ended up
tanking Edgar Wright's version anyway.
Yeah. So that's a little nod that he was originally supposed to be on Avengers, but he got cut because of the way the movies rolled out. So, which would have been a very different type of movie when you have Hulk smash and then Ant-Man being gigantic in the Battle of New York. That'd have been very weird.
Overall, Hawkeye did everything else that every other one of the Marvel series has done for me, which, they told a very good story and in a very capsulized way, allowed you get some depth to explore some of these characters, explore their particular issues or the particular drama that they have individually, but also in such a good serialized way.
Yes.
Like every one of them has been well written, at least personal opinion. I've liked every one of them for different reasons.
True. Very true. And guess what? Next week it just keeps going. Because next week we get the Book of Boba Fett. His backpack has jets, yo.
So now that we have Haley Steinfeld and we have Yelena, and they've announced the Ironheart series, and we got a 30-second teaser for She-Hulk.
Mm-hmm.
Are we thinking Young Avengers? Is that, or West Coast Avengers? I would love to see West Coast Avengers.
Oh, geez, West Coast Avengers.
As a West Coast
Tigra, though.
As a West Coast person, I would like to see some West Coast Avengers again. But
I want to see Great Lakes Avengers. Hey, Squirrel Girl would be worth it just for Squirrel Girl.
That's true. They could go to a Bears game.
Can we get them to go back to the old She-Hulk logo though? For real. I mean, like the new She-Hulk logo looks like it's a bad ABC sitcom logo.
Look.
And the old one was purple and green was so much better looking.
So are we thinking that's where they're going? Is that
Young Avengers
the setup we're doing here?
We're gonna get an alternate Avengers as we go. I think the Young would be
A-Force, honestly, because wasn't A-Force their Avengers?
That was the all-female team.
Yeah, that's the feeling that I got when I start putting these pieces together, that they're leading toward like some kind of A-Force piece. And we got Miss Marvel coming.
Yep.
You know,
I'm down for all of that because the actors that they have playing those roles are fantastic.
yep.
You know.
Yep.
So now that we're at the end of the series, I think Jeremy Renner finally got his time to shine, which I don't think he ever, like, he got moments in all the Avengers movies, but this was really his time to really be Hawkeye.
I would agree with that.
Without all the other crap overshadowing him. And how do we feel Haley Steinfeld did now that we're at the end?
I was pleasantly surprised. I really never really followed any of her work. I didn't really know much of her as an actress. I think she definitely held her own and in fact shined in a lot of ways against Renner. I think they both, the curmudgeonliness of Renner versus her like youthful energy, I thought played very well. I mean,
you should know Haley Steinfeld because she was in a movie that I guarantee you liked. She was in Into the Spider-Verse.
Yes. So I don't recognize her as a voice actress.
Yeah, she's Spider-Gwen.
Yeah, no. I mean, I know that now. You saying that she was into the Spider-Verse, of course, I made that connection. But I mean, as far as like, you know, knowing her like body of work, I don't know. Like, I don't know what she's been in before. Like, really, I don't.
She made her bones about 10 years ago. Yeah, about 11 now. She was in True Grit with Bridges and Brolin.
Oh, geez.
She was the little girl.
Okay, well then I do recall really enjoying her performance in that. But
that's where she made her bones.
I never would have realized that was the same person watching Hawkeye.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I think I'd bring her back. I can't wait to see more of Kate.
Well, she'll be back
MCU.
in Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse as Gwen Stacy again.
Yep.
She is in a TV series called Arcane as well, coming up in 2023. As well as Emily Dickinson, the series. She plays Emily Dickinson in the Dickinson series.
Which I've actually heard good things. I've been meaning to watch that.
Yeah. So,
I thought she started a little whiny and weird, but I thought she kind of walked into the role really well.
I think that's the build you're supposed to get, though.
Yeah.
Is that she is a privileged kid, you know?
Yeah. And I
love the fact that there was the turn. You got the turn.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. No, you got the turn, you got the grow up, you got and she grew up without being bitter, which I think is a direct play off of Clint, where I feel he got bitter early.
I'm also glad we moved past the shitty dad trope into the shitty mom trope.
Yeah. Well, and it's not a Christmas series with a dead dad. Have you ever noticed that all the Christmas movies, like especially the ones put out by Hallmark and shit like that, all deal with dead dads? It's kind of fucked up, man.
I haven't really noticed that myself. I'm also not a father, so I'm not like necessarily sensitive to that. From a don't have kids perspective.
My last question, because this was a theme, and as RPG nerds that we are, how did you feel? Because they used the LARPing thing a lot. I loved it in this series. The way that they pushed through. That was in like 4 episodes where they were talking about LARPers.
Yeah,
I gotta say, I loved that it wasn't just a 1-bit joke, like
where they were just making fun of them.
I loved that Clint actually had to like go through, like he had to do it. Like it wasn't just like you're gonna go down there and you're gonna strong arm your shit off of a bunch of LARPers. Like he went down and like was like, okay, fine, I'll play along. Yeah, and it turned out that these LARPers were actually a bunch of like awesome people that they needed through the rest of their journey.
The reason I'm bringing up their little fight scene at the end where the one girl hits the dude with the baseball bat.
The look on her face.
And then the one guy's like, kadoosh.
Well, so I want to ask this. Were their costumes a throwback joke to the Warriors 3?
Possibly.
Because I felt like the big guy's costume, the larger gentleman, I felt like his costume looked like Thor's buddy. And I felt like her costume looked a little bit like Sif's. Like, and I was like, was that like, are they role playing kind of as Thor's friends? As Thor's buddies?
Probably. Hold on, let me bring up I got an image of both.
Well, he's looking at that. Like, I just like the fact that they kind of got their moment to shine at the end. And they were like, you know what? These people aren't listening. Let's go put on some costumes.
And make them listen.
And it worked.
And it really did. It really did. But like the whole, like, and at that little scene at the end where Clint's like, well, I got to say, you know, I got to give props where it's due. This costume is fantastic. Missy is an amazing costumer. Like, this thing stretches and it breathes. And this whole time I've been thrilled for the fact that they went kind of they used the Fraction arc as their base for the story, you know, a base for parts of the story. And I loved seeing that Fraction costume kind of come to life in this last episode with Clint wearing it. It looked great. It looked great on Renner.
The whole series. When Kate drew the original Hawkeye costume on the napkin with the like weird thing, I was like, yes, it
was great.
I can't find any stills of the actual LARPers in there, but there could be some play. I was just looking back at the Warriors 3 armor and stuff like that. There could be some play there. They probably took some nods to it. I mean, they had some very, you know, Nordic themed armor all around. So
yeah, they all of the LARPing all felt very Nordic themed.
Yeah,
for the most part.
Yeah,
I'm glad they got their moment. I'm glad that Kate was like, you know what, we're going to use them as backup, and they're going to be a useful asset to us. And like, she treated them with a lot of respect.
Yeah. Well,
like,
and they
bringing them
played
back to the apartment and stuff.
Yeah.
Oh, and when she went to go meet them, and they were doing their practice, and she was like, "Oh shit, you guys take this pretty seriously. Okay, cool. Let's get into this. We'll do this."
Her and Lucky the pizza dog.
Yeah.
Oh, pizza dog. I loved his little one-eyed pizza dogness. It was wonderful, and everybody was just like, "Oh man, we got to walk the dog. Like, we got to remember to walk the dog. We got to like." Yep. Can you watch the dog for like another couple days, please?
Yep.
Let's talk a little bit about one last thing, just in this whole series, the representation piece. So specifically focusing on Echo, who is actually a Native woman, who is actually deaf, and is actually an amputee.
Yeah.
Like, it was
that
like,
casting was fucking fantastic.
Yes.
Good on Marvel for being like, we're gonna hit all three.
Yeah.
Because they could have probably faked one of them.
Well, I mean, think about it. They did that just a couple years ago. There was that stupid rock movie with Skyscraper where he played an amputee. And, you know, like, I get it. Like, you want The Rock, but, I mean,
Marvel would have gotten credit for finding, like, 2 of those 3 things in one actor. But they managed to find all 3, and she did a great job.
She was fantastic. I cannot wait. Like, can't wait for Echo.
Oh.
Because of how good she was.
My interesting thing on this, too, in both episodes 5 and 6, seeing who used ASL and who didn't. Right? Like, you could tell when Clint, when he was doing the thing, he's still learning, because in this version of Hawkeye, he's just, like, learning about how to be a deaf person.
Well, I see, that's the trick with Clint. I feel like they made a very big point in this to, like, kind of show how reliant he is on the hearing aid, because he was hearing and he's no longer hearing. Like, that's how he is. He just, like, when he lost the hearing aid, suddenly he was like, oh God, like, I don't know what to do.
And that's why I like how his ASL's kind of broken.
Yeah.
Like, and by that I mean, you could tell he's still kind of like, he half spells, half does sign. But it's interesting because you got Kazi, who does the ASL. And then there's that one scene early in the thing where he's like, do you think any of these idiots learned this in the last day? Like, right.
Yeah.
But you also get the impression, you know, they gave you a pretty clear picture that Kazi, like, basically kind of came up with Echo in their group. So, like, the fact that Kazi learned it, you know, because he clearly, at least I kind of felt like Kazi and Echo had certainly more of, it wasn't just a buddy relationship.
Because she's trying to bring him with her at the end.
Yeah, like, I feel like they were hinting toward, or at least a little unclear,
some sort of
romantic relationship.
Yeah. But then Kingpin.
Yeah.
Did you notice that?
That surprised me, because Kingpin is very intelligent, and
they could have gotten away with not doing it. it was a nice detail.
It was a way to show, because again, they make a big point of Kingpin of course says to her, I love you. Like, I love you. Like, and that was the fact that he was using ASL is one more way they can kind of show that closeness between Kingpin and this person who is effectively a lackey for them, right? Like the daughter of a lackey, but who is someone that apparently Kingpin has grown close to.
Yeah. I just thought it was a neat detail that they didn't have to do, but showed a lot in that little sequence where he's signing, right? And it's not Kazi interpreting, he's signing the whole time to Maya, and I was like, that's a big deal.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we've long since said representation in media is important. And the fact that you, like, if anybody could pull it off, it can be and should be a Disney, because you've got the resources to go find the right kind of talent, and this was one of her first acting gigs, I believe.
I think so too.
And so I think it's the nurturing that kind of performance out of somebody, right, is not an easy thing to do, especially when you have a translation issue. If you don't know fluent ASL and you're trying to direct somebody. This
is her first credited acting job on IMDb.
Yep. So I think there's a lot of that. Yeah, exactly. And so not only to find that talent, George Lucas style, nurture it into their first major role on, worldwide TV, and to have her cast into such an important role going forward, not just in this particular series where she plays a huge part, but going to be in her own series coming up, right? It's a hell of an accomplishment, and kudos to them using the platform correctly. It's not all bad with Disney.
If you look at our thing, we have a picture of the LARPers that BitPlayer was nice enough to put into our Discord. Did they get one for us? Oh. Yes, BitPlayer put it in there. I don't know if it's supposed to be a direct riff on the Warriors 3. Oh, we got all 4 of them in there. He's in the background. I don't think it's a direct riff.
Okay.
But I like it. And that Griff guy, the guy on the left, was my favorite.
That was like the one thing when I saw them in costume, like that, my mind immediately went to that. And I don't know if it's because the larger guy was kind of in like kind of a bigger tunic, and he had the kind of the side straps on it. I don't know if that's what really kicked it for me, but for some reason I looked at that thinking, I feel like there's a reference here, and I feel like it's to Thor.
Could be. I mean, it could be just a nice little knockoff to it, little nod to that whole series, which we get more of coming up soon.
There were a lot of nice moments in this show.
Yeah.
The one where Kate, because we didn't talk about this in the previous episode, where Kate and Clint get drunk like 2 days prior to Christmas, when he's got all the daiquiri things strapped to his arms.
Yeah.
And then they're great. Like, she shows up and she's like, okay, do. And then he's like, did you write that in permanent marker? And then he shows her how to do the coin flip thing, which again comes back in her fight with Kingpin.
Yeah.
Where she does the like.
Yeah, there's a lot of callbacks.
There is. But I thought that was a nice scene too.
Indeed. Okay. Any final thoughts before we sign off for tonight?
Book of Boba Fett.
Boba Fett.
I'm so excited.
I cannot wait.
By law, Joe has to come back on the show as our Boba Fett expert at some point in time during that series so we can talk about it. So
I'm sure he'll be salty about something in there.
Wow. Okay. See, that was a lot. That was probably not wrong, but also a little aggressive. It is Boba Fett after all. And if there's one person that can complain about how they treat him, I guess it can be him and MC Chris. Sorry, not MC Lars. But yeah, so we'll come back with that. Maybe we'll bring some Matrix stuff into it. I don't know if I can be bothered to watch Matrix because of the last 2 movies. We'll see.
I will try and watch it over. I'm going to watch it over the holiday because my father-in-law wants to watch it. If we can put together a team, we'll do a Matrix talk.
Our mutual friend, Caleb, and the little bit that he has seen, said that in his opinion so far, he feels like this movie redeems a number of things about the two sequels so far.
That's a hard hill to jump up.
No, I agree.
But hey, we'll see what happens. You know,
Sure.
I'm all down for more Keanu and Carrie-Anne Moss. So I'm down for that part.
Yep.
Until then, because we won't see you again until after the holiday. And after the new year, I guess. Let me be more specific. We will not see you until after the new year. So until then, there is this whole thing called the Omicron version of the virus going around right now.
Be safe.
Please be safe. Mask up. Go get boosted if you need to. Go get vaccinated if you haven't.
Yes.
Drink your water. Take your vitamins. All of those things. Try to stay away from giant crowds over the holiday if you can too.
If you can go see No Way Home at the earliest morning showing, again, like there were maybe 15 people in our theater and we were all like spaced out really well.
I've done
much better.
I've done 2 late night ones too.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Those tend to be good.
Cool. Until then, when we see you guys here in the new year, be safe, love each other, and stay weird, okay?
Guys,
Happy holidays.
I appreciate it. It was a lot of fun.
Mwah. Thank you for coming on, Michael. We'll see you here soon. Also, his stuff, go check him out. Loser MLW, Redemption Podcast, and Chaos Incorporated, which will be back after the first of the year.
Yeah,
I'm doing all plugs for you. There you go.
Come back here, see me here.
Yeah.
And then go see my other social media stuff.
Oh, we're going to drag Michael on to guest a bunch of times now.
True. Yeah. Also, latest episodes of Sawyer and Bennett and Zombies. My episode was released around Thanksgiving. Kaylee's episode was released this past week. They're really good. So Alex has got one of the first 2 episodes. I think you're in there somewhere.
I think so.
I was in the first one for a bit play. I don't know what you did for them, but I did a cameo in the first episode.
I think we're all doing cameos. That's the running joke of it for those kind of things.
I did a quick cameo for the first episode, which was released on Halloween.
Yeah.
Some of us haven't been included yet, but I'm sure we'll get there.
I'm sure she will.
Steph, calling you out.
No.
The professional voice actor is calling you out.
There is no hate. I know.
Please have the voice actor do it because I get super nervous. I had to do like 30 takes to get like 6 versions out that you wanted to hear. Okay,
that's like my life when I'm recording here at home. I can't tell you. My wife I have a phrase that I was doing for this puppet stuff I was doing, and the phrase helps me kind of get in the voice. And like she's like, I can always tell when you're doing it because it's all I hear from upstairs. Every couple seconds, every like minute or two, I hear that little phrase.
Yep.
Big news, and like I keep saying that over and over to get in the headspace. And
my wife's like, "What are you?" She's like, "What's going on?" I'm like, I said she asked for like 4 intonations of these like 3 lines so she could decide which intonation she wanted, and I had to do at least 4 takes of each one before I liked it enough to be like, that's that version of the intonation I want to send to her.
Yep.
That's the life of a voice actor.
It is.
And it makes me sad for myself. That's why I don't do it. It's so much fun.
Okay. Sure. Check out everybody. Check out our friends' podcasts on that. Also go check out Gamers Heaven Seattle North or North Seattle as I like to say it. If you're in the Seattle area,
please come by the shop.
Yep.
It's a fun, happy place.
It's pretty and green now.
And we're spread out for COVID. We're keeping things spread out. All the tables are reasonably spaced.
It's a huge space. There's plenty of space for everybody. So,
and also for my Seattle friends, there's parking.
Yes.
If someone wasn't local and wanted to buy, can I buy direct from the store, or am I buying from a storefront that supports the entire organization?
You can get a hold of me and you can buy directly from me. Yes. I will have to do that then, because I would like to support the store.
Yep.
I've actually got some new indie stuff that I think you should take a look at.
Ooh.
We were playing with it in the store the other day.
Cyberpunk game that I keep hearing so much about that's so good out of Seattle. What's
it
called?
There is that.
Identico?
Beyond that, but I'm stocking more than just my own stuff. I'm finding, by the way, if you know indie designers who are looking for a storefront that will sell their stuff, that's us. We've picked up a bunch of stuff in the last week. So yeah, give me a shout.
Go check it out. Until then, we'll see you all in the new year.
Have a good night.